Hey, Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bola. So excited to be with you today.
Excellent. So I'm happy to have you. I know we tried to schedule this couple of times, but we made it happen today, and I'm glad. So you are joining us all the way from Ottawa, Canada.
I am. It is very cold here at the time that we're recording this.
Well, Houston, the weather has been on and off. It may get cold in the morning, but by evening it warmed up. So, I-
Nice. Send some of that warmth our way.
tell us, you help people to recover from career setback. You also help people to navigate career decisions. Can you tell us why you do this, Michelle?
Such a great question. And it's interesting because as a career coach, I'm really interested in the stories, the career stories of other people, and how I got into coaching and decided that I wanted to help people along this journey and this path is a story unto itself. So, of course, as you mentioned, I've survived two restructures over the course of my career. I was in financial services for 18 years right out of high school, actually. And my job was eliminated because of a merger and acquisition. And I decided I wanted to move from financial services into not for profit. Reinvented myself, packaged up my transferable skills, worked for a large national cancer organization here in Ottawa. And then I lost my job a second time, also because my job was eliminated as part of a restructuring. And I don't know if I would have thought about coaching, at least at this time in my career, had it not been for a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine named Val, who planted the seed of coaching about a year before I lost my job the second time. And because she's a coach, she knows. She knows the qualities that would make a really effective coach. And she just turned to me one day, like completely out of the blue, and she said, "I never understood why you didn't do this as a career." And at the time, I was loving my job with the cancer organization. I was working with volunteers who were either cancer survivors or had cared for family members with cancer. And the timing just was not right for me. But then when I lost my job the second time, I realized, okay, this is the universe telling me I should really look into that. So Bola, I had taken that seed that was in my head and I started to network with other coaches to find out more about coaching, the kind of schools they went to, the kind of specialties that they had. And I realized that this was something not only that I wanted to do at this stage in my career, but it also gave me some awareness that I had actually been coaching in different jobs all the way along. And this was a chance for me to formalize it. So I decided to get my certification as a coach. I'm actually trained as a life coach, but chose to apply it in the area of career because I've lost my job. I've felt kind of lost trying to figure out what my next steps were going to be. I really wanted to help people guide them on those next steps. So I made the very conscious decision to focus my coaching in the career space to help other people, so they wouldn't feel lost and so that they would have a plan. And it's that same drive and motivation that caused me to write my book. I wanted people to have that roadmap and have that plan.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. And I do tell people that in this day and age, career, whether you want to call it restructuring, I call it disruption. It's something
Yes.
everyone should be prepared for because it can happen with the pace of technology, with the
Oh,
pace of
yes.
change we all face in this world. I don't think anyone should feel like a restructuring or disruption is not going to come. It's only
Is
a matter of when. So,
It's so true. I mean, right now, I mean, Bola, you live in the United States. I live in Canada. I know that there's lots of job loss on either side of our border.
yeah.
And what I hear from a number of people, they'll say, "Oh, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. I'm going to wait and see if I'm going to lose my job." So some people, very consciously decide that they're not going to do anything to prepare. But then they're scrambling when they find out that their job is lost, that there has been a restructure. So, you make such a good point about just being prepared. Like I really believe that everybody can be prepared for change because you're right. Change is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And if you decide that you're not going to do anything, you're going to be so far behind all of those other people who have already, done the soul searching, figure out what their next steps are going to be, maybe even update their resume and their LinkedIn profile. Why wait for change to happen when you can be ahead of the curve and just, be ready in case anything does happen? I mean, we live in an age of AI. AI is having an impact on our labor market, right? So, we just need to think smart about our career. Nobody's going to develop our careers except for us. We get to drive that bus, and we need to do some things to be proactive with that.
Yeah, that's so good. We have to be proactive. We have to be ready. We have to be prepared. This is a message we are telling people. So, now, what do we say to people that, we call it wait for change to happen? In
Mm.
terms of mindset, what kind of mindset shift they need to start thinking about as they prepare or get ready for this change that is imminent?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I believe that everybody can do some foundational reflection work, because it's, what some people hear from that message is, oh, like, I'm not ready to resign and look for something else. And my message to them is you don't need to do any of those things. But you need to have a bit of an idea of at least what your career priorities are at this stage in your life. And I like to think of the three keys to career fulfillment as being, doing work that gives you energy, as opposed to work that drains you. The second key is that you have a really good idea of the kind of organization where you can do your best work. So I like to say working for an organization that believes what you believe in, that there's values alignment, you enjoy the mandate, that this organization employs both team members and leaders that would allow you to do your best work, but then also what your non-negotiables are. What are the deal breakers, the things that would cause you to walk away from an opportunity if those things couldn't be honored? And even as a foundational step, and this would be a step in the right direction, it's just shifting the mindset from, I need to make a change right now, because it's not necessarily all about that. And it's more about, I'm just going to get ready for a change. And so, even just by doing, asking yourself those questions, those key questions as a start, will help you when the time is right, will help you intentionally seek out opportunities that line up to those things that are really important to you. And one of the freebies I'm going to offer your listeners is a reflective framework that will allow you to do that. Yeah, a little bit of that soul searching, where you do a little bit of reflection over periods of time just to get ready. And that will position you really well in the event that there is change down the road.
Also, thank you. And I'm grateful on behalf of my listeners getting the freebie. We love free things here. So, so
Free is the name of the game. Who will turn down free, right?
thank you. Now, you talk about career fog. How do people know they are in it?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, how I see that show up, there's actually two ways I see it show up with clients. One is that fog might show up through inaction, where it's almost like a paralysis, like an individual is unable to take any action. They prefer to just kind of going with the flow. And a lot of the time, our careers are go with the flow. We take the promotion. We apply for the job that a friend says we'd be perfect for without actually doing that soul searching and that thinking. But where I see people just not take action, sometimes that's a sign that They just have no idea what to do next. They have no idea what the steps are. They have no idea what the elements are of a plan. So on one extreme, there's nothing happening. That's a bit of fog. But on the other side, what I will see with people is they're very active in the job market, but they're not targeting anything. So, like for example, I remember a few months ago, Bola, there was somebody that reached out to me and he said, I'm really frustrated. I'm applying to jobs, I'm not getting anywhere. And he told me that he applied to 300 jobs
Oh,
in
wow.
1 week. One
Wow.
week. And
That's
I said, how many interviews are you getting?
zero.
We both know, right? The answer was none. There was nothing. And when I was talking to him a little bit more, I realized he had no target. He didn't know what kind of jobs to apply for. So he applied for everything. And he wasn't getting picked up because his resume was way too generic. He was trying to make it be applicable to so
Target.
many different things. So that can be where fog sets in as well. And one of the things that I will work with clients on is I'll say looking for work is a lot like going on vacation, but it's not as much fun, Bola. We both know that. It's
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 so
not
funny.
really that much fun, right?
Mhm.
But the commonalities are if you go on vacation, you need to have a destination. You need to have a target. Well, the same when you're looking for work. You need to know, with precision, like what kind of roles you're applying for and that you're interested in. But the second part is you need to have a plan. And it's like that when you go on vacation. You don't just show up in a city and work it out. Although I'll be honest, in my early 20s, I did that. I wouldn't do that now, with
Uh-huh.
two kids and all of that. But that can sometimes show up as being like in a career fog where you're just applying to everything. You have no target, there's no plan. You just send out a whole bunch of resumes and you hope for the best. And I'd say that approach maybe still worked about 5 or 6 years ago. Today it doesn't work. I mean, over 1,000 people will apply for the same job. So you need to have a little bit more targeting and precision so that you're intentionally seeking out the right opportunities.
So, what do you tell people? I love what you said about targeting, but how can they actually stand out? Because you are right, maybe for every one job role position, there are thousands of people applying for that position.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, what I see happening for clients who are getting interviews right now is that the way that they're standing out, there's two parts to it. One is they are making sure that their resume and their cover letter really fits for the job that they're applying for. So that's something that I call passing the checkmark test, which just simply means whatever's in the job posting that there's evidence and proof in your resume that you meet all of those criteria. And it's beyond just using keywords. What I see some clients do is they say, "Oh, this job calls for relationship management, project leadership, customer service," and they just plunk those words in, but they don't have any achievements that are evidence and proof that they have met those criteria. So a targeted application is one way to stand out from the masses because there are a lot of people who do not target their application. But part two, this is where I see the magic happen, which is getting your resume into the right hands. Like reach out to your network and see who in my network either works at the organization I'm applying to or knows somebody who works at the organization I'm applying to. And I have a brief little story to highlight how this can work. So this summer, I had a client and he had applied for a large national job here in Canada. And he applied for this job. He found out a few days after he applied that human resources was not moving forward with his application. He got, like the standard, email, although a lot of companies don't even send the standard email now, but he did get a standard email. Thanks for your application. Sorry, we're not moving forward. We'll keep your application on file. Standard stuff. Well, the thing is, at the time he applied online, he thought, let me just see if by some stroke of luck, I know somebody who works there. Well, a friend of his, not even a really good friend, it was somebody like more of an acquaintance,
Yeah.
somebody he hadn't talked to for a while. And he saw that this person did work at this organization. Now, this was a big, big company. And he thought, I'm just going to take a chance. I'm going to reach out to this guy, even though I haven't talked to him for a little while. Well, sure enough, this individual knew the hiring manager. And
Wow.
so put my client in touch with the hiring manager. Well, about a week, maybe it was about a week after he got the first rejection letter, he
Mhm.
gets another note, also from HR, saying, we'd like to invite you for an interview for the
Wow.
same job he was rejected for.
Wow.
And so he got not only one interview, he got two, he got four interviews for this job, and then he got an offer. So
Wow.
he's working there now.
That's excellent. That's fantastic.
It's amazing. But if he didn't reach out to his network, it was the end of the road for him because he got the rejection saying, sorry, we're not proceeding with your application. But because he reached out to his network and he said, look, like, can you make a connection for me? Can I talk to the hiring manager? Can you vouch for me? That gave him an interview. And then he had to prove himself, so then the three interviews after that, certainly he was
Yeah.
able to do that. But that is something that absolutely people can stand out by engaging their network. And some people will say, "Oh, but people are too busy. I don't want to ask." Ask because even if they say no or you don't hear anything, you're no further behind. But
Yeah.
if they say yes, you could be very far ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
so good, Michelle. That's a good story. And I think the message there is that people should not just stay in isolation. They should
exactly.
engage their network and leverage this network for to land their next opportunity. Now,
Absolutely.
Michelle, I know you have a book, Cultivating Career Growth and
Yes.
Transitions with Purpose. Tell us why did you write this book, Michelle?
So it's interesting, Bola. I really never thought I would write a book. Because writing a book, it's a whole year worth of work. Like it's a year-long project. And it wasn't even just that initially deterred me. It was because I thought, what do I have to say for a whole book? I mean, I write on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn posts, they're
Mhm.
super brief.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, like, I don't know if I have anything that I could fill a book with. But I did know that I had over the years, I had been sharing like stories with clients about strategies that worked for other clients. I'd been sharing the strategies that worked for me when I was looking for work. And so all it really took was the right person reaching out to me. It was the publisher that I decided to work with. I thought, oh, I shouldn't shut this down. I should at least be open to the conversation. So after talking to her, I realized, yeah, not only do I have a book to bring out into the world, but I wanted to do it with her. So I wrote the book because I really wanted to create a roadmap for people. Certainly talk to a lot of people that when they come to me, oftentimes when people come to me, they've already been looking for work on their own. And they're oftentimes pretty frustrated. Like they've been applying for jobs, they're not getting interviews. They're getting interviews, they're not getting the job. They're only looking for work online. They're not engaging their network or reaching out to recruiters, which is a complete job search plan. Online recruiters and networking, that is your job search plan, but not everybody will engage that kind of plan. So I wanted to take people from the start, from the reflection on your career priorities to then identifying some options that could be good fits, and then actually working on the tactical elements of a job search plan, like creating that plan so that you know where to look, you know how to reach out to your network, that you have a resume that tells the right story about you, that you know how to interview for jobs. Every single chapter of my book is a tactical part of a job search plan and strategy with a lot of like tips and recommendations in there. But there's also spaces for people to write so that they can build their job search plan chapter by chapter. And when I talk to people who have read the book, they said it's just been so helpful for them because it's allowed them to, do some reflection to figure out what that next step is going to be, because some people want to do something totally different. Some people want to do the same thing, but just at a different organization. And some people like really want to just pivot like 100%. They want to do something so different, but they don't know how to do it. And so, throughout my book, every chapter starts with a story. One story that I talk about in my book is about an individual that I worked with that went from owning a restaurant to construction project management, something totally different, but packaging up his transferable skills, creating a new version of a resume and engaging with his network is how he got into something new. And so my hope would be that people read the book and they get some inspiration. Not only do they get a plan to help them look for new work, but they also are inspired by the stories of other people. They're all real stories and how they navigated their own transition through using these strategies. So lots of information in there. My partner keeps thinking that I'm going to write another book, and I said, one is really good for now.
It takes a lot of time, like you said,
Oh,
it requires
yes.
a lot of effort, and thank you for sharing that detail. Now, you talk about career growth. Can you share those 5 steps of career growth process with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that the first step is, one that we talked about earlier, which is, about reflecting. It's about, really being honest with yourself and thinking about what is the work that's fired me up over the years. Like, be specific and like, why did it fire you up? But then also be specific about what work drains you, because there's things that maybe, your listeners do that they're known for, but they used to get energy for it and they don't anymore. I mean, something that I've even heard from some clients, Bola, some people say to me, Michelle, I've never done work that energizes me ever. And that's hard to think that
Yeah.
somebody, might be in their 40s, maybe even their 50s, and they can't put their finger on anything that they really enjoyed, which tells me there's something better out there for that person. They just haven't found it.
Yeah.
So reflection is number one. And then the second step would be, building out the options. So, what are some very viable career paths that are a really good fit for what your priorities are in your career today? And, we are surrounded by AI. I actually say to people, use AI to help you identify options. So what I have them do is the freebie career focus framework that I'm giving to your listeners. I say to my clients, complete that in full, all of the different questions about what your priorities are, the kind of organization you want to work for, your non-negotiables, what might be waiting backstage in your life that
Mhm.
you haven't tried yet that maybe this is the right time for. And so take all of that and your resume and feed it into like ChatGPT or, another AI. Don't put in your personal information. I always say like strip your personal information from it. But ask Chat to identify some career options based on your priorities today and your career to date, and it will identify some career paths for you. Like these are good ones that you can start to seek out. So really step number three is now do your research. So when you have identified some possible paths, and I like to ask ChatGPT to spit out some reflection questions to ask yourself as a way of deciding, is this for me? Like some people, Bola, you've probably heard these stories too, where somebody says, oh, I really want to own my own business, but they don't have a tolerance for the
Yeah.
risk that goes with it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the right step today.
Mhm.
But certainly talking to people in those different options, like talk to a project manager, talk to a financial advisor, talk to a workshop facilitator, like whatever the different path is, and learn information that will just like help you decide. So like step number four is really all about like build your networking plan, like start to reach out to people, do your research, have the conversations, be really intentional about who you reach out to. Think about who do you know that you could meet with, but also who do people that you know. So like look through the network because like I know hundreds of people. Bola, you probably know hundreds of people. Any one of those hundreds of people could be helpful.
No.
And when we ask about friends of friends or like, colleagues of friends or any of those people can be very helpful. So step number 4 is like do your research, build out that networking plan. And then I'd say step number 5 really has to do with your marketing. Make sure that your marketing assets line up to your new direction. So, when I say marketing assets, I'm talking about your resume. Make sure that your resume is telling, the right story. So, like in the example of my client who moved from owning his own restaurant to getting into project management in the construction world, his resume had to be totally changed. It couldn't read like a restaurant owner, but it needed to position all of his transferable skills and his achievements by those skills to show that he had the right skills to move into that new field. The other marketing asset is LinkedIn, and some of your listeners maybe you decide, oh, I'm not going to be on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, you might be missing out on opportunities. So the last step is, yeah, making sure that your marketing assets are lined up, and then, certainly taking it forward. You want to make sure that you're ready for interviews, that you are, preparing your specific examples, you're practicing, that you are continuing to build your networking plan, that you're asking for new conversations after every conversation that you have. Doing all of that work can really position you well to, I like to say, run to something that's a really good fit versus running away from what you have. Anybody who just, and maybe, you know what? I mean, some of your listeners might be in really toxic environments where it's really bad. And I will say to individuals who are navigating that, like you might not have the luxury of doing all of what I just described as the steps to help you find your next job. You might just need to run towards something else just to escape what you have. But I do say if you do need to take another job quickly, that might not be a good fit. Commit to yourself to do all these things that I'm mentioning at a later date to help you find a job and an organization that is a better fit for you. Career transition is not about all or nothing. You might need to take a few steps to get to the really good fit. And if you do, that's okay. It's
No.
okay to do that.
Thank you very much, Michelle. That's so good. That's so deep. That's a lot of tactical and strategic information that you just share with us. And I know my listeners, they will find this very, very beneficial. Now,
Excellent.
finally, where can we connect with you? Tell us about where my listeners can find your freebies so that they can continue to learn from your journey.
Absolutely. So my website is a good place to start, which is mschaefercoaching.ca. And in the show notes, there's going to be links on my site that will point you first to the free chapter of my book. So my book, Cultivating Career Growth, Navigating Transitions with Purpose, is available on Amazon. And the free chapter is a great way to try before you buy. If you just like a flavor of how the book sounds and some of the information you can get, then that's something that is accessible on my website. The other link that I'll point you towards is also available on my site, and it's to the reflective document called A Career Focus Framework, which it really is. It asks a number of different questions to help you figure out what does career fulfillment mean for you, so that you can have that starting point to help you identify other options. On my website as well is a link to book a free 30-minute consultation with me, and that's complimentary, will cost you nothing but your time. So if you are listening and you have Maybe you've been navigating a job search. Maybe you're feeling pretty frustrated and you don't know where to go next and you'd like a consultation, please. By all means, you can book that as well. And LinkedIn is, I'd say, the last place that is a good one to find me. I write about career development and job search probably 5 days out of every seven. So there could be some inspiration in there. Please reach out, follow me, connect with me. Let me know that you listen to me on Bola's show, and I would be happy to have a conversation with you.
That's so good, Michelle. Thank you very much for coming on the show. We appreciate you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me today.